All right, let's talk about something that, let's be honest, so many of us have dealt with: acne. Today, we're going to unpack the causes and, more importantly, the solutions for this super common skin issue, and we'll be using our source material as our guide. So, let's dive right in.
Our source material kicks things off with this question, right here. And it's a pretty smart way to start, because for a whole lot of us, the answer is a big, frustrating yes. It's something almost everyone can relate to at some point.
So, that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to dig into the why behind those breakouts and then check out the straightforward action plan that our source suggests. It's time to get to the root of the problem.
First up, we've got to understand the core causes. Because really, before you can even think about fixing a problem, you have to know what you're actually up against, right?
What's really helpful is how our source splits the causes into two main groups. On one hand, you've got internal causes. That's all the stuff happening inside your body. And on the other, you have external causes, things that are affecting your skin from the outside. Breaking it down like this makes the whole thing feel way less overwhelming.
Okay, so let's start with that first category, the causes from within. These are the triggers that are coming from deep inside our own bodies.
So what are we talking about here? Well, the source points to a few big ones. You've got hormonal changes. I think we're all a little too familiar with those. Genetics can play a huge role. Sometimes it's just in your DNA. And then there's stuff like stress and even your diet. Specifically, one that's high in sugar and dairy is called out as a major trigger. Okay, so that's the inside story. Now let's flip over to the other side of the coin. What's happening on the outside? These are the things that are directly messing with the surface of our skin.
And yeah, you're probably going to recognize some of these. First up, clogged pores from all that excess oil and dead skin. That's pretty much the classic start of a pimple. That can then lead to bacteria and inflammation. But our source also flags things like using the wrong beauty products, and even something you might not think about, like too much pressure on your skin from, say, your phone or even a helmet.
All right, enough about the problem, right? Let's get to the good stuff, the solutions. It's time to look at the clear skin action plan that our source material lays out for us. And you know what? It's not some crazy, complicated 10-step routine. Instead, it all boils down to a really simple 3-step approach. The main ideas are cleanse gently, choose your products wisely, and eat for your skin. It's a real inside and out strategy, which makes a lot of sense. But that second step, choose products wisely, that can feel a little vague, can't it? Like, what are you actually supposed to be looking for when you're staring at a wall of products? Well, our source gives us a very specific term we should keep an eye out for. And that word is non-comedogenic. I know it sounds super technical, but what it means is actually simple and really useful. It just means the product was made specifically not to block your pores. And if clogged pores are a huge external cause, well then using products that don't do that is a pretty powerful move. Now let's zoom in on that third step, eating for your skin. The advice from our source here is pretty straightforward. The goal is to add more of the good stuff. Think fresh fruits, vegetables, and drinking lots of water. And at the same time, try to limit the things that have been linked to breakouts, like too much sugar and dairy.
So as we start to wrap this up, it's only right that we look at the source's own final thought. This is how the material itself decided to conclude its message.
So the text ends with this specific call to action. It points you towards a specialized product and promises you'll see results within a month. We wanted to show you this quote directly so you have the full picture of the material we've been breaking down.
So after all that, what's the big takeaway? Really, the main idea from this material is all about balance. It's not just about the cream you put on your face, and it's not just about what you eat. The core message is that tackling both the internal and the external causes at the same time is the most effective way to get clearer skin.
And that kind of leaves us with one last question to chew on. After looking at everything, from diet and stress to cleansers and product labels, what's one small, simple change that you feel like you could actually commit to, starting today? Thanks for tuning into this explainer.